Welcome to another episode of the Dental Insiders with your hosts, Matthew Petchel and Michael Dunn. The Dental Insiders is a podcast for dentists, dental team members, and industry professionals. We'll share stories and lessons from clinicians and industry visionaries with the goal of providing an entertaining and informative look at the industry we share. And our guest today certainly falls under the industry visionary category. We've got Mr. Ron Saslow, CEO of Hu-Friedy. Matthew was asking about, how your management style and how you keep 800 people moving in the right direction. I'm kind of as a follow-up to that, I'm curious about what's your favorite book on business?
Favorite book on business. So there's two that I really like. The first one is one called Discipline and Market Leaders. And what I really like about that book, actually a lot of pieces, but the central theme that I pulled out of there is that companies today, to survive, they have to be really good at three things. They have to be good at product leadership and being able to introduce new products. They have to be really good at what they call operational excellence, which is doing it repeatedly a number of times and continuing to do it well. And they have to have some level of customer intimacy. So those three are the disciplines they talk about, but their important point in the book is while you need to be good at all three of them, you really got to pick one as your main lead. And for us, that was the customer intimacy piece. And years ago when I had my team read this book and we had many discussions and kind of pick our lead horse, if you will, it was tough because we are pretty good at all three of those. But we, in picking one to make sure we never sacrifice, it was that customer intimacy piece to it, which for us allows us, as I mentioned before, to be tied into the doctors and the hygienists and knowing what their issues are and how we can make them better and what we can do in concert with them to come out with better, stronger, faster products that will help the community. And we've got a bunch of dentists and hygienists as part of our team, and that, of course, helps keep us grounded in understanding what's going on in dentistry. But we really want to avoid the mistake of thinking that, we can figure it out in our lab what the next great thing for dentistry is. The dentistry is happening out in the streets every day with hundreds of thousands of practitioners, and those are the ones that we want to make sure we're tied in with. And, the intimacy piece is not only understanding them, but it's helping them. It's figuring out ways to make their lives better, whether it's involved in dentistry or not, educating them on things in dentistry and not. And, just a big part of what we are. So that was book number one that had a pretty big impact on me. The other one that I'll mention I loved as well is called Good to Great. Jim Collins wrote that one. It's pretty popular. And again, a lot of great lessons in that book. But the one that I really liked, and the one saying that sticks with me, is that good is the enemy of great. And I think that one just so resonates with me because you see it all the time where, people get tempted to say, oh, that program, that product, that salesperson, that whatever it is, it's good. It's good enough, and good often is followed by good enough. And how dangerous it is for companies to get in the mode of thinking that that's okay. Good enough is good enough, and it's just not. And sometimes when something's horribly broken, it gets the attention and it gets the money put at it to fix the problem because it's the thing that's on fire that day. And then the ones that are good enough are good enough. And what this book really drove home to me is that that's just not true. And sometimes, again, as the expression goes, good is the enemy of great, is to get great as many parts of the business or all of the business, you can't be happy with good. You have to push past that. You obviously have to fix the things that are bad or broken, but good isn't the finish line. Great's the finish line. And I thought Jim did a really amazing job of explaining that throughout the book.
Great is the finish line is maybe the title of my next book.
Great is the finish line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
I think it's a good book title.
I think it's an excellent.
You're not going to use it, are you?
I'll write the forward for it if you want.
All right.
I love it when a plan comes together.
It's perfect.
You're going to actually write it.
Yeah, I'm going to write it. Yeah,
I
can't
the
write.
idea.
I'm just going to try to make sure that it includes words like art engineer.
Yes.
Right.
You mentioned customer intimacy, and I know that Hu-Friedy sells through distribution channels, and I'm just curious, how do you maintain that customer intimacy when you're selling through distributor?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it is a challenge for us for sure. Direct companies have a chance to work with their customers on a daily basis. We do not from a transactional level, and the distributors do a wonderful job of helping us, do all of that. But we have many different programs, and whether it's over the web or social media or at conventions or other places where we do have the chance to work with them directly to do so and to keep that level of intimacy and understanding what's going on. The other big lesson that we all talk about is you got to get out of the office. You got to get to where dentistry is happening and work with the customers on that level. So it is true that we don't have the transactional selling to them on a daily basis, but we have plenty of opportunities to continue to work with them directly and be solution providers for them, but also be with them and discovering new ways to do things. At first that seems like it would be contradictory to go through distributors and have that intimacy, but it actually works out really well for us. And the fact that the distributors are doing a great job on the transactional piece of it allows us more time to focus our attention on working with the practitioners directly in the ways that we can.
As I think we wrap this up, we look into the crystal ball.
We do. We like to look into the crystal ball or the rotating
or the
globe
rotating
over Ron's shoulder, which I can see South America.
Yeah,
Lucky
exactly.
Africa. I can't.
No, it's South America. There's North America just above it.
Okay.
Imagine that. So when we look, 5 to 10 years from now, when we look back at our industry, what major changes or trends do you think will have impacted it?
Well, a few of them for sure. So the first is that practitioners have placed a high emphasis on products that are, as I always say, are better, stronger, faster, or even more cool sometimes, but ones that are going to make both their lives better and, quite frankly, the lives of the patients better. So, companies that are all about Me Too products might have a place for a short time, but there's a lot of emphasis on products that do the job better, and not only iterative ones that we have, but ones that will change the face of dentistry and the way it's performed. And I think that's becoming more of an expectation than it ever has before. I also think that education and service levels are going to be things that are going to separate the great companies from the good ones, and those that are involved in, again, the longer view of helping educate the customer base as well as providing great service, I think are ones that are going to do very well, and ones that are trying to cut corners and save costs and not worry about the things like education and service because they don't directly pay the bills, I think are going to suffer and not have such a strong place in the future. I think there's a lot of technology that's changing as well, and two things I'll throw in there as my commercial messages. One of them is I guess would fall into an iterative improvement of ours, which is our new EverEdge 2.0 scaler. But when you look at what happened with that, and on one hand, at first look, you might say, well, God, that's a similar product that you've been making forever, but it's really not. And through our investment in technology, both from a process side as well as a metallurgical side, where we've truly come up with a better steel and a better process to make it, it resulted in an amazing product that is lasting so much longer than the ones that are out there, and all of our research with our customers showed that last longer, stay sharper. Those are the buzzwords that really make a difference for them. A lot of money and time and effort went into creating that, and that's a really cool thing for the future. On the other end of the spectrum, we now have an alliance with a company called EMS, who brought some really cool products to the States through us. Piezo machines and tips are part of that, but they have a new product that's called airflow technology, which is just a better way to clean teeth, and it's something that's working really well in other parts of the world. It's a little bit more new here in the States, and certainly with their latest and greatest technology, it's a little bit new. But I love it because that's not just making an existing product better. That's truly changing the way that dentistry is performed, changing the protocols, how to clean teeth, and in particular, cleaning teeth in a way that's important as the research continues to show the absolute direct link between oral health and overall health, and how it's not just keeping your teeth pretty, but it's truly helping people live longer and live happier lives. And this is a product and a technology that really kind of turns dentistry on its side a little bit. And so I love both sides of it. And in the future, I think you'll see more of that, making existing products better, absolutely, but also bringing things in that not only challenge the status quo, but really change it and make it much better. So I know Hu-Friedy will be a big part of that in the future. And I think the companies that do well are ones that are going to recognize the importance of continuing to do that.
How do, quick follow-up to that, because I feel like we're kind of onto something interesting, is that with all the technology, aside from the manufacturing technology, but with all the technology in the industry, the ways that people can find out, the clinicians can find great products and new techniques and all that, what's the future of connecting with clinicians? So you talk about being an intimate, having an intimate relationship with the customer. What are you guys doing differently, or what do you think is the way? So like the old way was the trade show, right? So let's go, we're all in 1960, we're all wearing our skinny suit with our skinny tie, and we're going to trade shows. And that was the way we connected with the customer. And 50, 60 years later, we're still wearing our skinny suits. And we're still going to trade shows. But that's obviously not. I'm sorry, go ahead. That's not the best way and the right way. So what are some things that you think are ways to get that message out? So you've got this device or this scaler or this whatever that is better, faster, stronger. How do you get it out there?
Well, so trade shows, although you're absolutely right, they've dropped in attendance and all, and it's not what it used to be in the glory days of trade shows. However, they're still pretty important, and many practitioners do go through the shows, and so we will continue to have a strong presence there. And again, from our standpoint, any chance we have to be face-to-face with our customers, we love it. But the other point you raised, which is absolutely on the money, is that it's not all about trade shows anymore. So everything from, going back a bunch of years now, being able to jump on websites of companies to see what's new is instantaneous. You don't have to wait for the next trade show. And what we've seen more recently over the last few years is when you do connect with one or a group of practitioners that really like what you have, the social media is such a huge part of that, and we're excited about it. We love word of mouth, advertising and being able to get that message across by having people who use it. And to me, the best customer is an educated customer. So if somebody tries something new of ours and really likes it and feels comfortable enough to tell their friends about it, that to me is a huge win. I can run 6,000 ads in journals all day long, but give me a couple practitioners that say that this is great and I'm going to go tell my friends about it. I'll take that all day long. And again, patting ourselves on the back, I feel we do a really nice job in bringing new products to market that make a difference. So I'm super confident that when they are tried, more times than not, they're going to tell their friends and they're going to say good things about it. And that's just an amazing tool that we now have that has been around for a couple of years, but really not as much in the business way that it is now.
Right. Well, earlier we learned that great is the finish line. And I think we've had
I just saw great, and we're on our way to excellent.
And we're on our way to excellent. I think we've had an excellent interview today with Ron Saslow.
Sure have. Thanks, Ron.
And so we're going to wrap it up. And that does wrap it up for another episode of the Dental Insiders. Ron Saslow, CEO of Hu-Friedy, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, and thank you for allowing me to come on and spend some time on your show.
Yeah.
And to our lovely audience, please join us again next time and tell your friends and colleagues about the Dental Insiders. Thanks.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.